And what another series to be started off with a big win coming over from Antic, really pulling off. You want to say it was clutch, but it kind of wasn't, right? Like, they were 12k gold lead up for so long, and they just didn't seem to really enter that. Katsuri on this Aphelios was an absolute beast. That quadra kill up in the top lane, best thing I've seen in a while. But Jen, Skimmy, these fights were a little bit more inconsistent, or maybe even a little bit consistent, but they were scrappy. What did you have to think about those fights?
Yeah, they were scrappy, and I think it really comes down to what we mentioned a few times during the game, right? The fact is that they're very different styles of how they want to function, and I think maybe you get a little bit mind-controlled as Antic, thinking we're so strong, we can just front to back now. But as you'll see in this clip here, they realized, oh yeah, we're up by 13k, but we still lose unless we utilize our range to start off the fight. So certainly some scary moments for them. Rob really playing out of his heart, or Katsuri rather, but it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, no, it was pretty hectic. Like, I want to talk about Katsuri on this Aphelios because we have talked about the AD meta and how crit is just so important. You can see Ray's so upset with that play there. But let's talk about the Varus at the same time too. Do you think this was the right fit for this team comp on Antic? Tally?
Yeah, I mean, not so much like a fit, like based on where they drafted it, but it's just like it was a good answer into what Daiwos have shown. Like, he outranges both carries. Like, it was just unfortunate, like, he wasn't able to get that fed. A lot of his ults didn't result in kills in the early game. We saw it over and over again where, like, he was getting a flash, he was getting a melee ult, like, he was getting another flash. Like, he just wasn't finding gold to be able to snowball. And we all know, like, when lethality Varus, like is even or behind, it's not as strong as it could be.
Yeah, it's so true. But I think as well, I want to talk about this AD top, right? Like the Twisted Fate top. We've seen the Zeronas play this before, and it's pretty fun and pretty spicy. He was popping off towards the end of those fights, just landing beautiful gold cards. Skimmy, anything like of note that you'd like to say around the AD top?
I mean, yeah, I think we've seen it countless times now, both on the local but also the international landscape, right? If you pick Asante, you're going to get punished by a Twisted Fate, but Twisted Fate's played well. It's nigh impossible to lose on, right? So we saw inklings of that with Elise Sim poking his head into top lane, couldn't gank it, 1v2. And he was just able to set up so many lane states where individually he was up by so much gold that it took, what, 3 people in the end to be sent to that one lane to shut him down. But I mean, you think of the opportunity cost, 3 people for 1, and like Antic would just always disperse doing whatever they please, taking all your camps, taking all your gold, and yeah, it was a pretty commanding performance overall.
Yeah, taking all that gold, man. Like, they were 12k gold up what felt like, I think, for 10 minutes. They were 12k gold. Then you even saw in that graph that we just passed off a little drop down as we saw some really good fights out of Direwolves. They really sort of stepped back, and there was a question where I was sort of thinking to myself, actually, does Direwolves take this? And Tally, you even had your thoughts too if they didn't take the Nexus in that last sort of fight, and then you just saw that they decided to go for the kill and got a little bit greedy. There was the concern that Direwolves could have had it. So, do you think that was possible? Do you think there was a world where Direwolves definitely got that win?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. Like, the more that game went on, the less the gold lead meant, and the more, you know, the more damage Aphelios is going to be outputting. Like, he's hitting level 18, he's got all the points in his abilities, he has 6 items. Like, he just needs the rest of his team to catch up and, like, be able to compete with him. As long as there's one more threat on that team, they would have had a much better thing. And I think that's, like, something I want to touch on, was Direwolves really need that, like, side lane threat. I think that, like, that was really showing in this series, or this game. Antic had, like, 2 strong side laners who were able to, like, you know, get prior, and then, like, if you're unable to have side lane priority, you can't really find the picks onto mid lane, and Katsuri was just constantly getting, like, flanked. He was getting no vision, like, no one's really helping him be able to carry that game. So hopefully next game we see, you know, some form of, like, side lane coming out of Direwolves.
Yeah, we'll have a look at those drafts as well now and actually break them down a little bit further for you, because there was some quite interesting picks as well. That Hui on the Incursio as well was just doing ridiculous amounts of damage, but as well, I like to see the Talia making those really good useful weave as well. Is there any lane here that we haven't spoken about that you guys really liked? And I'll pass that over to you, Skimmy.
It's a lane, but also it's a player. What happened? Why is Mayfan top lane? As far as I was concerned, he was a jungler. That's what we saw in the roster. That's what I see in the GCD. That's what I see. Mochi is listed as a top laner. And then suddenly we're like, let's just flex. Let's just go up against one of the big teams. There maybe is some tech where you're like, but it seems a little bit defeatist. But there's maybe a world in which, like, oh, we don't win if we play traditional, so we're going to try and do something crazy because I've got, like, a unique pick. But if this is the way it's all going to go, then I think you've made the game even harder for yourself, right? Where it's like Rob really, or Katsuri, I keep saying Rob. I'm cool like that. I know him like that.
I know his first name.
Yeah. I think Katsuri's really like, dude, like, how much more can I do? I'm up to like 100 CS. I've got all these kills. I'm 1v9ing. Like, I just need one other person to, like, yeah, get it done with me.
Do you think they could have probably drafted a bit more of like a engage support to help Katsuri a little bit more? Because the Milio was, I think, a very strong pick though, especially into some pretty hard engage, being that Vi, Rakan as well. Do you think something a little bit more tanky, maybe like a Nautilus or something, Tally, could have been better?
I think the Milio was the saving grace for the Direwolves draft. I think like without that champ, Katsuri would be 0-10. 100%. Like a lot of these Varassalts that were landing on him would have resulted in kills. Like the TF gold cards, the like the Hui Fears, like you see like he was getting kills just running into the enemy team pretty much, and like Emilio was enabling that.
Yeah, no, it's always good to do. But like, especially in these big team fights, right? Like that giant cleanse from the campfire was so helpful to alleviate a lot of that pressure, get Katsuri just doing some more damage. But really good performance out of Antic, though. They did take that first win. They are, I believe, going over to the other side now. So Direwolves are heading on to blue side, which means we should see some more interesting bans. Are you guys expecting a Corki?
It was banned in the last series. Yeah, look, I think Corki, we've seen enough of it today. I think both teams have realized, oh, we watched series 1, that champion's kind of broken. But Skarner's not first pick worthy, apparently.
We wanted to see it. I wanted to see it. I wanted to see some of that in the jungle, even the top lane support too. Who knows? But guys, we have your Twitch votes ready to go for game number 2 of Antic vs Direwolves. Don't forget to put it up there. Everyone arrow for me. Do like a nice little point. Yep, there it is. Skimmy, the last one. There it is. That's the excitement. That's the energy we're after. I was just trying to flex my arms a little bit. That's just me, though, so don't worry about it.
Oh,
but guys, get your Twitch
points
points
mine.
in. Are you flexing? No, I'm not going to do it. I can't beat that. See?
These are skinny arms. These are arms designed to play games, and that's it.
Well, don't forget to get your points in now, guys. Get those in so you can see if you can stack a little bit more. Is Antic going to take home the victory and go 2-0, or is Direwolves on the back of Katsuri, the leader, going to take a win away from them? We're just going to have to wait and find out. But I don't know if a draft is ready, but boys, I think we're good to go if you are.
Are we?
Always.
Are we?
Always ready.
I hope we're ready. We're going to go to a break instead because that's what we need. We need a little bit more time. So guys, stay tuned as we get ready for the final game of the night, Antic versus Direwolves. It's going to be a huge showstopper, so stick around and wait to see it. We'll see you in a sec.
She'll probably go with her husband. Whoa, whoa, she's good for me. She's good for me. She's the mom of my best friend. She's so hot I can't pretend. She teaches math, but I wish she was my girlfriend. Yeah, she's 10 over 10. Are a distraction. Whoa, but she helped me with my fractions. She looks amazing in a pencil skirt. I've got a tattoo of her under my school shirt. Whoa, she's good for me. She's good for me. She's the mom of my best friend. She's so hot I can't pretend. She teaches math, but I wish she was my girlfriend, yeah. She's 10 over 10. She's 10 over 10.
Here's the reason that Kevy's after becomes Tavares. Forced out of the stopwatch. It's carnage. They're all charmed at his command. Oh, Tavares! It's do or die. Well, here we go again for game number 2 and a chance to see. Okay, Antic. It was a pretty convincing win. But either way, 12k up. Struggle a little bit. You're thinking, are we too happy during that interval to think, okay, we won, but it should have been a lot better, right? I'm sure those players, having won that many titles or having been at that level for such a high amount of time, must be kicking themselves thinking we need to close it out better, or we're no longer in this conversation of saying we can match what Ground Zero can do.
I think you touched on it earlier. You said that like both teams aren't really happy with that game, you know, coming out of it. Even though Antic won, it wasn't like a clean win with how much of a lead they had that game. It's not so much like worrying things. I think they had a really good early game. Like the leads they were able to establish was really good. I think that Dials also should be happy with how they were navigating like mid-late game. They were doing really good to, you know, like micro these team fights really well and like win on that like little tiny like edge. And I think that like even if you were disappointed with how the results were and like how you performed, because a lot of pro players are like super self-critical, you know, it's still like it's still something to take away.
Yeah, it certainly is a good takeaway. And I suppose it begs into question then, how much of the draft is going to be similar between games 1 and 2, right? Do we want more reps and a similar style to say, we need to run it back, not only for our own ego, but for just our ability to prove that we can do it on a stage game? Because one thing to do in scrims and solo queue, every player will always say, I'm sure you'll echo the same, right? It's always a different kettle of fish to do it on a stage. So will we run it back despite the sides changing? Well, I suppose they can't anymore, right? The Varus has been taken away, but are we stylistically looking for the same poke versus, you know, hard engage front to back?
I think Direwolves is like they're gonna do the same thing with different champions. You know, like that's their playstyle. Like it's the Katsuri show. They're gonna have a mage mid. They're gonna have like whatever jungler and just like some bruiser top, bruiser tank top. It's just always been the Katsuri show. I think that most drafts will be similar. We do see 5 80 carry bands though, so
wow.
I'm really curious to see what's gonna come out, especially like if Raze is cooking up something special here. And there's the 6.
6 80 carry bands. This is when you know you got 2 absolute powerhouses in the league looking to battle it out. And now we're first picking Karthus. Oh, okay.
I
well,
think
there you go.
Karthus was definitely one of the biggest winners of this patch. Like the Blackfire Torch, really good for the champion. Like his clear speed is quite insane. I think he has like a kind of little niche synergy with First Strike if they do want to run it. But I see a lot of junglers just end up going for the Dark Harvest because they want that extra bit of, you know, power in the early game, the extra bit of damage with the ult execute. But I mean, I have to see what Antic want to play into this Karthus because you don't want to just leave it to farm. You know, you want to play like this aggression. The Katarina is up, please.
Oh my
please.
God. It's not being banned. It's not being banned, Twitch.
This is actually, okay. If they pick no CC in the next 2 champions, he is locking in. I will bet.
100%. But it is one of those cases, right, where like you hover it, you say it's not banned. We could. But I have to see the composition before I grease myself just for the memes of like, hey, here I am, playing my one trick, guys. We cannot afford to lose. They're going to lock in themselves with the Xin and the Jinx, which is crazy, right? When you think about 6 80 carry bans, and these 2 are still up, which are at the top of the table.
Yeah, I think Jinx and Affiliates were definitely also like big winners of the patch. Like the IE changes was so nice for these champs. I don't think we'll see the Katarina come out here. I think it's quite unplayable into Lulu. But you know, and Kostyo knows best. Like, it is his champion.
Yeah, it certainly is his champion. He'll be thinking, to be mulling over and be praying, no doubt, that in that second rotation of bans, they still don't decide to take it away. Nautilus being hovered for the meantime would be a pretty standard matchup then, right? Be it the Enchanter, protect the President style for Direwolves, whereas Antic, it's like, we just need to be aggressive. We need to make sure that this Karthus cannot be accelerated. So they're going to run away with the Jace, make sure there is no more poke for them. As for Direwolves, you just imagine more hard engage being taken off the board.
Yeah, Antic, they want to get rid of these champs who can like really stand up to Nautilus. Like, as I'm looking at Direwolves comp, I don't want to be any of these champs in front of a Nautilus. Like, he can ult anyone and they die. Like, it's much harder for Katsuri to carry his game when you have the point and click like CC. He doesn't really have that ability to just skirt around the team fight when, you know, you're getting outplayed by Nautilus. But we'll have to see like if they're going to like lock in some... If it's like a Cassante, I assume, which is probably like the best answer into like Nautilus as like a solo frontline or something else.
Yeah, solo frontline of Nautilus would be a risky game, but also we know that Drake, who is a very proficient Nautilus, loves the champion, very keen to get out of lane and roam and try and find success elsewhere. So The Jace gets coupled with the Yone.
Ooh.
The Skyner gets hovered, but the Katarina did get banned, and also the Wei got banned too, right? So certainly a little bit of targeting towards that man in the mid lane. But the Skyner, is it a real possibility? How strongly is it valued by these pros? As Raze really is teasing us of all the possibilities of what could be.
I have heard, like, you know, in the grapevine that as OP as Skarner is, like, you really don't want to play him into, like, a high range comps. Like, he just struggles into stuff that kites him. He's really good into melee, he's really good at peeling, he's really good at, like, you know, just, like, creating chaos in team fights when his carries are being dove. But as he is, like, solo diving in with, you know, it's really hard to find the ult onto a mobile carry, or, you know, just, like, finding damage onto so many squishies when you're just, like, getting kited. It's extremely hard as the Skarner decides to go for the Cassante. I think that this champ is still, like, the best tank. He kind of does everything well. His W's a bit too OP. Curious that they did go for the Zac, though. Like, this, he's not really gonna function well in the team fights where, like, his team is constantly being dove on. Like, he's gonna find a lot more success with, like, dive buddies, but he's still gonna do a really good job at peeling, because he's able to split up the fight so well with his Let's Bounce. But, you know, we'll see what Antic do when I go for the 5P, though.
Yeah, it does seem a little bit all over the show, right? Because at the one stage, you've got a team that wants to try and peel back and protect their Philios, but then they do need some form of engage. So they said, well, we need to at least couple the Zac with something else. Otherwise, if he slingshots in, he's just dead on spawn, right? He's just dead on on release, basically. So the Pantheon is there as well, offers them even more global pressure. So not only do you have the ability to descend from the sky, you then got the zap from the Requiem too. And this suggests to me that Aphelios, if you're taking a 2v2, scream down the mic and we'll ult for you.
Yeah, Antic's draft to me is, like, very all over the place. Like, they kind of want to... They don't really care about, like, the Jinx versus Aphelios. It's not like a carry contest. They just want to dive on this Aphelios and take him out of the game. They want to dive on this Karthus, take him out of the game. And, like, just leave Raze to his own vice. I really like the draft coming out of Direwolves. I was thinking, like, what AD mid they're going to pair with the Karthus jungle, because, you know, we see the Jace, we see the Yone being gone, which is, like, Guapi's champions, knowing him from solo queue. It's really nice to see the Pantheon come out. Not too sure, like, how he's going to do in the 1v1, because Karthus isn't going to have, you know, gank pressure. Pantheon's always struggled in, like, the 1v1 against range champs, but he's been a very good champ at setting up ganks, so we'll have to see if, like, you know, Mayfarn or Mochi, depending on who's jungling here, wants to come out of their path, you know, spend a bit of time in mid lane.
And I suppose that's the big question for me, right? Because whilst we highlight the global pressure that they'll have available to them to try and respond to any situation, or at least be the ones in the driving seat, almost asserting the tempo of the game, I look at Antic's comp and I say it's just so typical of, like, a poke, rather a pick comp, where we've got all these champions that can say, if you make one rogue move, if you're just a little bit out of place, you know, you're taking it back, right? We can remove the pieces that protect their Philos and work our way towards that star AD carry. So I think both teams are probably happy with the style that they've got, and we'll have to see if it materializes in a win that favors either of them. Let's let ourselves then into the rift for the final time tonight in this opening week of Split 2 here in the LCO. Antic right now leading with a 1-0 scoreline, and given it is a best of 2, this one's for all the points. Let's see who comes out ahead.
Yeah, we do see both teams running together as a 5-man ball. I know for sure Antic want to spice this game up. They want to get level 1s rolling. They want to get snowballing, because they don't want to hit mid-game against, like, a 3-item Karthus, 3-item Aphelios with, like, Enchanter, as we do see Nort coming up over the wall.
30 seconds until
Ooh, the blind hook. He believed, he knows that somebody should have been there, but Guapi is, yeah, he's out of there.
Yeah, I'm curious to how Antic are going to navigate the early game. They really need to be able to find gold leads somewhere. They need to find... Well, like, ideally, you would be using your mid to move to bot side and, like, dive on stacked waves and stuff, but it's very hard for, like, Nautilus and Jinx in the 2v2 to find the push onto Aphelios Lulu. It's all about, like, the jungle pressure, the gank setup, and, you know, how well they synergize with Foreigner.
And it just sort of, it comes to me at least, that bot lane matchup. It's almost like the more things change, the more they stay the same, right? We had a little bit of a blip on the radar. It's like, oh, let's play a whole bunch of Senna games. Oh, we've had Zeri meta for a while. But no, we've always reverted back to, it's Aphelios and Jinx again. AFK till 2 items, guys. Like, that's what we're looking at here. And yeah, as you mentioned, I think really for Direwolves, if they can hit level 6 quite quickly. We saw how keen Guapi was to try and leave lane. Well, Talia, Pantheon, basically the same in terms of just leaving lane and forcing a fight.
Yeah, honestly, like, I personally was a big what's the word?
What are we looking
Player,
for?
I'll just say player of this playstyle, you know, like the whole set up your jungler, like leave your lane, enable your team to play really well. I thought it was like very good in the meta. I think like the meta has come around again, where bot lane is the role and pretty much you need to get everyone down there to make sure your AD carry is happy. So it's good to see that Direwolves is adapting well to the meta and, you know, playing around their Superstar Cat story as they do hit level 2.
They do, yeah. Draco just literally walks up to them, was waiting to try and see if he could bait out a reaction from Katsuri, but unfortunately takes a far bit too much damage, which is going to decide he should just back away. I suppose there's nothing more. As you mentioned, right, you talk about some of the playstyles you have with the Twist of Fate, Galio, you know, the Rise, all those of just wanting to leave lane ASAP and try and benefit everybody else. Should make it quite interesting to see how they're playing, because Guapi is in trouble. And he's just at a range, you'd have to say, of the Whimper Comes Lightning, because he can't just sidestep it simply, but Mochi was waiting.
Sparrow does walk in, he's not scared at all. And, you know, we're seeing normal full clears coming out of both junglers. I don't think we'll see much action in the early game based on Foreigner starting on that ward there. It was a nice ward out of Guapi to spot him on his chickens level 1, so they know where he is pathing to. And I think that we're just going to see, you know, standard lanes until probably, you know, the wave start bouncing or like first dragon spawns.
Let's see then what really will take place here, because obviously there's a lot of protection that needs to go around, making sure that the Karthus can flourish. You need to make sure that your lane states are pretty stable and that they aren't falling victim to any deaths as well. Those deaths obviously open up the invitation for roams to take place, deny those camps, and really slow down the pace of this Karthus. As you said, right on the money, is going to go for that Dark Harvest. First strike getting touched is, I mean, he's not going to opt for that, where that Satisfying Requiem hits and suddenly you just got a boatload of gold. In the end, both teams will just decide that we'll push a wave, we'll respond back, and we'll just base.
Yeah, that's really cheeky out of Antic bot lane there to like overstay and try and get like the cheese, but then, you know, Direwolves go with the base and they just crash the wave. As we do see a fight over the pushing wave in mid.
Yep, jumping back into the mid lane is Foreigner, but he doesn't find really what he likes, because Guapi says, yeah, I'll take that trade. I'll actually bully you out, and I've barely lost any HP, whereas for you, you're forced back into your jungle and, yeah, back to base.
This is one of Karthus' biggest strengths. Is like he clears so much faster than every other jungler, so he's just able to, you know, counter gank over and over and over. So he's just gonna like clear his camps, run to a lane that is susceptible, and just like counter gank, be there with like more items or like an XP lead. As we do see the fight happening in top, does Doris have the damage?
Yeah, does Doris have the damage? Is the big one. He's gonna maybe wait for them all to group up for the AoE. No, he just takes one blob down and says, that's enough. I've popped your passive, and I've wanted a bit of jungle attention as once he does pop his head in there. Doesn't drop any ward. But he's just letting his presence be known.
Yeah, pretty comfy early game from Direwolves. They just have, you know, so much scaling and not much is happening on the Antic side. You know, Foreigner was trying to find something in mid lane to free up his Ahri to be able to impact the map, but it's just like good job from Mochi and Guapi to be able to, you know, communicate that and shut it down. I'm really curious to see like where the first Pantheon ult will go this game. I feel like top will be low, you know, because this is one of those lanes where you just fight to the death, but I feel like using resources away from bot lane would be a mistake.
Do you think Pantheon falls into the same argument as like a Nocturne, where that first ultimate, you kind of live and die by it?
Yeah, definitely. I think that like Nocturne would like be able to have if you remember like old solo lane Nocturne, like he's fine like farming because he clears the wave so quick, but Pantheon gets to a point where like he's not going to be able to like fight back in lane so much because the Q poke, the electric poke coming out of the Ahri would just become way too much. So getting freed up on the map in like that first ult, being able to snowball, like get a Dirk is going to be so big for him.
Let's see if he can reach that point, because Incursio is certainly keeping him humble for the meantime, dropping him down low to 50%, baiting out whether or not he'd like auto-click his way into that charm. Level 6 is the real kicker. That's when these two comps do really start to come online. Found there in the mid lane, can't be too far behind his Mochi, and I'm sure then we'll really start to see them force a little bit of aggression more so in lane to say, okay, what can we find, what can we rotate to, and how can we snowball to try and shut down Antic, finding that late game condition?
Yeah, a lot of it's like how much can Antic get in the early game before the Karthus comes online? Like how many dragons are we going to get? How many grubs are we going to get? Is that going to like bridge the, you know, the comp strength when it comes to the mid game team fights? And, you know, like how comfy will they be in that situation?
Certainly is a risky game, right? We've certainly seen before, even when we have like a Cassidy in the game, for example, right? How much are you willing to sacrifice? What is the golden number? You down 5,000 gold? Okay, are you panicking yet? Probably not. You still believe that that late game condition is coming around. I suppose for Antic, they're thinking, well, we've already found ourselves one dragon. Let's just poke our head into bot lane and see if we can try and get a bit of aggression found there. Maybe a summoner, maybe even a cheeky kill. But Katsuri says, if you hook me, you will pay the price. And well, Raze is looking a little bit worse for wear now.
Did you give away the grubs? Karthus does have access to the ulti now, so like he's got through the hardest part of the game, and he's got access to the new item. Forgot its name, sorry, but it's gonna speed up his clear even more. So he's just gonna keep snowballing, keep cycling his camps. You know, just build his gold lead up a bit more and become that powerhouse in the mid game.
I think if we ever forget that item name, we're just going to call it the AP Balmy Cinder, and everybody will sort of like know what we're talking about, but at the same time be like, but what is the item caster? You're meant to know this. You're meant to be the voice of reason. But yeah.
I have this problem where like I call items for what they look like. Like to me, that's Pot of Greed. That's
Pot of Greed.
Yeah. Or like when you remember like the old Spectre's Cowl? Like I used to call that Raincoat.
Raincoat. Like, hey, people know what you mean. It's the same as like you say, oh,
Yeah.
he's used his Q ability. Caster, tell me what it's called. Nah, we all know what the Q is. Well, here goes Poppy, instantly dropping into the mid lane. Frono hanging out of vision. Says, good luck trying to get that kill. Nice little cheat with the TP back into lane, you would say, but is unable to find that first blood just yet. Zoranis is continuing to make sure that Mayfan's life is all about trying to find those globes for the life back. It is constantly being pushed back.
Yeah, a bit of a wet noodle fight in top lane, but that was a nice ult mid. The big thing coming out of it is he finds a window to get priority. So he's going to get a ward down, he's going to find himself another reset if he wants to go grab a Dirk or something. But it's just that bit of freedom he has from the constant poke coming out of the Ahri.
It's only getting a bit worse, right, as the game goes on. The Ahri ever so mobile to try and match that off the Pantheon, but also just so supreme in finding those initial picks that if you roam and it isn't the right one, you may just get lights out in a heartbeat right there. Next Dragon obviously a couple of minutes away, so I think that really does favour Direwolves, right? If they're looking to try and find their moments to get a few items online. We talk about Karthus already finding that for the accelerated clear. No doubt he's wanting to try and get that Dark Seal as quickly as possible too, to really start farming up not only the assists, but yeah, all the damage to make sure that when he does focus it into the lane, it is a guaranteed kill.
Yeah, curious to see when Direwolves will start to link up. I think it'll be like the first item when they will finally start to play like together in the mid jungle, move together around the map, you know, create some pressure for their bot lane, because at the moment it's just you know, Mochi's farming his jungle. He's like, guys, you know, do your best. I'm still scaling. Like, we're not in a bad game state right now. The gold lead is completely even, but I think like the map control for Antic right now is, you know, it's quite one-sided, as we do see the pick going onto mid lane here.
Yeah, looking for the charm, not going to connect. Guapi going left and right, but then across the wall goes Draku, baiting out. Will you hit the hook? Yes, he certainly will. Knocking up as well with the primed and ready to go Xin Zhao. The shield goes out, the ignite is ticking. He jumps back in, but he jumps to his death. And just before the 10-minute mark, Antic finally break the deadlock.
Yeah, I think Guapi was baiting there a bit too hard. He did have access to the E, but he popped it a bit late, so he took way too much damage. It was a good CC chain by Draku as well. That's what secured the kill in the end there.
Let's see if Direwolves can accomplish anything as a result, as out goes the Moonlight Vigil, dropping Raze down to 40%. Mochi on the roam, and protected by Shinky on vision, so they're fully aware of this one, as Draku goes back to his AD carry to protect. But it's looking like they're hanging around here, and Kursu is going to be told, you cannot recall, because they're forcing a massive crash here, and will they overstay?
Draku does decide to throw the hook in there. I'm glad that one missed.
Yeah, me too.
Escape for him. But yeah, I think they're safe. A really good fog from Incursio there to like just walk into the bot river, recall on a ward, and make sure that his bot lane, you know, feels a bit protected there.
Oh, Raze, he's just not allowed to go back to base. Really well done by Mochi, who's just going to flash on his head and say, you will just fall on down to the Skittles. If that's not enough, make it another. As in comes Guapi as the Pantheon, and now it's the four-man collapse onto Draku, who misses yet another hook. Maybe this one is one that could have helped, but he doesn't need the protection because the wave is gone. The tower stands strong, and, well, it's just not enough damage with the Dragon there spawning.
Yeah, they know that like going for the extra kill isn't really worth it. The Dragon is the most important thing. Like they need to deny the soul stacking, because that's one of the things that will match the early game. Like Antic having access to soul is something that they really don't want, so it's really good that they're prioritizing the Dragon here instead of, you know, overextending for the dive when they know TPs are on the game or Incursor is missing on the map.
Yeah, certainly not worth the risk, but this is going to be a trading of different objectives whilst Direwolves pick up the second Dragon. It's going to be Antic looking to get themselves involved with the Void Grips. So 3 went to Direwolves, seemingly the other 3 are going to go to Antic. A much more balanced affair, but I say that as a fight breaks out in the mid lane. Draku basing and running down mid, knocks him up, and Incursor, it's as simple as him dashing on through and flashing to guarantee that the orb comes back to get the kill.
Yeah, really nice lane gank there from Dracu. I think that's a very underrated thing from a lot of players is like the lane gank angle. We'll see if Antic do want to go for the dive here though.
See if they can find much more, because Foreign is looking for the kill onto Shinky as he comes out of the polymorph. The wild growth goes up. There's another CC. Just look how much, ability for them to find those picks. You think you've done enough. You've burned everything under the sun, and Antic still have more tools.
Yeah, this is what I was really afraid about in the draft. Is like the Nautilus has way too many targets he can hook this game. It's not. Usually you see Nautilus like, oh, like I'm hooking in front line, I'm hooking in melee support, but he just has access to the all the range champs that are on Daiwo's team, as Katsuri does walk back on the turret with no flash, but he does have the double TPs coming from his solo lanes. We'll see if Antic do respect that.
And likewise, they're going to say, maybe it's a bit too much to bite off on this occasion. We will just settle for denying the blue buff away from the carpet, which is a massive deal here, but will Guapi allow him to get out of base or get out of that roam scot-free? That is the question. And Cursor rocks up to the fight. Out goes the charm. The damage and the electrocute procking him low. The shield, again, you would argue maybe coming out a little bit too late as he's already down to 20%, but he gets the kill onto Foreigner, and he still survives. Now to turn attention onto Dragu. The Jinx rocket, not enough even then to get the kill. So I'm sorry, I was not familiar with your game. He gets the double kill. He gets away. And now the Requiem to try and snipe in Curcio, who stands still and says, nah, not enough.
And in the meantime, Mayfan has TP top to zone Raze off the wave, so he's just losing all this farm. Katsuri's getting access to all these plates, and at the same time Zora's getting access to a gold bot, but you would way prefer this on your Achilles right now.
Certainly would. Happy days for them. 2 kills found in the mid lane. Katsuri left to do as he wants, with those plates falling on down in about 30 seconds, so even more gold injected into his back pocket as a TP is there to back up that bot lane, and we still continue to rotate around top. 4 members strong. They look towards Dracu. He tries it in with the slappy hands as Mayfan blindly jumps in to figure out where Foreigner may be lurking, but Incursor across the wall, Spirit rushing into their face. Wild Growth knocks them up. Mochi low. The chompers are good. The damage is there. It's 2 found so far. Make it 3. Mayfan, he's going to pop his defensive. There is the passive, and Raze surely the benefactor of this one.
Yeah, honestly, this is a really nice TP. I think Daiwas were just overstaying there. They didn't have access to nearly the combat power that Antic had coming out of base with ults up, and it's just really easy resets for Razor.
Yeah, a bit of an overextend, as you say. It's a case of doing too much with too little on those respawn timers. We'll run it back again, because initially it looks like Foreigner's being caught out of position, but then just a dash across the wall.
Yeah, this is honestly just really good positioning from Dracu, like throwing the ult over the wall, finishing off the Lulu, and like Incursor with the TP flank, finding all the deception onto pretty much every member on the enemy team there. And that damage in the early game is quite insane.
Another replay, and back into another fight, as this one might be a bit of another wet noodle, as support and jungle say, alright, you've spotted me, vision will not be planted, you can do as you please. At this point, Elliot, would you say, having been familiar with this style of gameplay, do you think Daiwas is still in a good position, or do you think Antic have done enough to try and say, we've given you your little leads, but your Karthus is still not much of a menace?
Oh, Antic have definitely done enough. I think that like they have gold onto the right carries. Like Ari does have the items to be able to, pick out those squishies if they overextend in the wrong positions of the map. I think that they're very comfortable with how the game state is, but we saw the gold lead that Antic had last game and where that ended up for Daiwas.
That's a good point. It certainly is. Katsuri, the focus, going to be one trailing behind as he looks to try and buy his time. As Zonis jumps on in. Once again, there is the wild growth, but it's onto the Karthus this time, but Katsuri is still the focus. And the Rift Herald gets left to its own devices. Yes, it's been taken down by Guapi, but he dies in the process. Raze, with a double before, finds himself another, as they now look to take down what remains of that top lane tower. A couple of auto attacks from the lads, and that one's gone. And same for the fate of their bot lane too. Katsuri does whatever he can, but with any CDs available now for the Lulu, he is just a sitting duck. And what can Mayfan do? He's got no passive, he's been zapped, he's slowed, he can slingshot away. He may be the only one surviving.
Yeah, this is just snowballing from, I think Daiwas are going for way too much. Like, it's hard to recognize because you have like a Pantheon, you have a Zac, you want to fight like right now in your bottom spikes, but they need to not be playing for objectives. They need to be playing to secure waves and camps and scale. Like, it's just very easy for Antic to just walk in like late to an objective like this, have a TP flank, and just pretty much demolish the team fight. Like, this wasn't even close. You see Zoran's just zoning 3 people here. And he has no armor, it's just a complete magic resist build, and he's still able to just zone the AD carry away. It just goes to show like the combat prowess difference right now.
Yeah, the state of the game, as you say, it's a bit of a disaster in that regard. I think Guapi dies for the Herald. I think he did successfully pick it up just before he fell on down. We'll see in a second anyway. There it is. So at least they've got that going for them to try and buy a little bit of time around this next fight, out of one into another in terms of, okay, what do we have? Someone to check. Flash is soon to be all up and available. Katsuri, the one you'd really be keeping your eye on, but Draku's thread the needle. He's found the hook on towards Shinky. In jumps Mayfun. Maybe a bit too early, so it just gives Raze the ability to get excited a little bit too early as well. He's on another double into double again. He is stacking them up like it's ever too easy, and well, now Katsuri is surrounded by everybody, so he gets cute with it. Flashing does not find the damage onto Nkosio, just out of range. Same for the Charm, and now it's a horror game of like, okay, who wants to step up and who can land a skill shot?
Yeah, I mean, this is just what I said before. Like, they just need to chill out and stop starting objectives, but they decide to go run it back, start another objective, and get clean wiped by Antic.
Yeah, well, I suppose I've really answered my own question now as to have Antic done enough, because seemingly they really have. Direwolves giving them the proving grounds in which they can showcase just how strong they are. And yeah, I mean, if Direwolves starting this one up, they think they've got all angles covered, but everybody's flanking. They find the moments to strike, and yeah.
Yeah, like, I think it's saying when your team can run over a casting passive and dive the rest of your team, like what the game state is. I think that this Jinx is just out of control right now. When he's able to find like that one reset in a team fight, it's just like, it's lights out for Direwolves.
Raze had enough of saying, I'm not going to be one to play lethality anymore. Get me on a crit mage, or rather get me on a crit AD carry, and let me showcase just how good I am. There's a reason there are 6 titles underneath my belt. I'll show you what I'm about, and whilst this does become a bit of a comedy at the very end there of how long it takes to take down Katsuri, it does get done in the end. Up by 6,000 gold. TP coming in to try and protect, but Guapi is only to be surrounded by 3, and is not going to find any success in the side lanes. Meanwhile, Raze! Oh my god, he is he's very lucky to be alive.
Alright, no more Varus, no more lethality chance, guys.
It's crit only.
Crit only. I learned my mistake.
But he's hit that point, right? I mean, he's got the Infinity Edge. I mean, you look at Katsuri, he's got triple daggers. Dagger in my heart, because he's not found the same success as game 1. He's 0-4 tally. It's so sad, but also so sad for Mochi, who's denied the kill onto Draku down to only 20 HP. That is frustration.
We'll see how much Antic want to stay here for. Like, the respawns are coming out of Direwolves. We do have access to the Pantheon ult. We'll see if they do want to engage here.
Yeah, multiple members that are low, so Guapi is looking for it. Flash, pounce, go for Raze. Can he get the kill? Him alone, it's not enough because Raze flashes out of range and gets excited again. Oh man, it's the hard force, and that really does feel like the final nail in the coffin to say that was all we had. If we can't kill him then, we're never going to be able to kill him.
Yeah, that was their one window to find something back into the game when they were sitting on so much gold and, you know, low on health, but it was just really easy. As we do see the replay here for the 2v1, I assume Raze has done a really good job spacing him. They just crit him 3 times. Bye-bye.
There's no way he 1v2s like this, man. Ah, what a time to be alive. What a time to be alive.
Just RNG. Unlucky. Can't blame
He just rolled the
Katsuri.
dice better. He just rolled the dice better. Well, 10-1. What a polarity difference, right? 10-1 versus the 0-4 champion in terms of the Aphelios night and day from game 1 to 2. He's the focus right now in the mid lane as he gets swarmed around by multiple different members from Antic. Really keen to shut him down for the 5th time this game. But with it being 20 kills to Antic in as many minutes, it's a case of saying, okay, this time we're close to that 10k lead. This time can we close it out in a much more commanding fashion to end week 1 with a smile on our face.
Yeah, and it's also good to see from Antic that they weren't like, oh, we need to get rid of this Aphelios. Like, he was way too strong in the first game, let's ban it out. They've run it back game 2 with a better draft into it, and it's just not finding the same success.
So he isn't. Guapi surrounded by 4 members. He jumps in and tries to get 1 kill, and he is successful in doing that, but that's all he's going to find this occasion. Is it's another kill for Raze. Make it end, Tally. He drops the rocket. Katsuri wasn't even low, and it's enough to nearly get him to lethal. Thankfully for him, there's a bit of fruit inside the base that'll help him get back to base that much quicker. But they just keep bleeding so much in their ability to try and defend.
Yeah, and like, shout out to Nkosio again. I think he's been like the unsung hero of this series. He's having really solid performances in both games, like finding charms onto key targets in his team fights, and really setting up his CC or his damage from his team.
Certainly has been a bit of a standout performance for him, and I think you'd be right in looking at this roster and saying that he would be the weak link out of all these members. Maybe there's an argument for Foreigner as well, but recency would show that Foreigner's been in the league quite active, but when you've got the likes of Raze, Draku and Zonus on there, it's hard not to have the fingers pointed at you. So to come out and showcase that, yeah, I've got the weight, that also needs a respect band thrown towards it, but I can now play the RE2, and it looks effortless transitioning from one to the other. It's a promising start.
Maybe he's just holding himself back by playing Assassins in solo queue.
True. He's like, I got Challenger anyway. It doesn't really matter, right? Like, what am I playing for anymore?
As I just see the Baron setup, I assume this is going to be a quick engage.
Yeah, something seems to be the case, doesn't it? As Guapi once again, every single time a fight's taking place, it is that man, the one leading the line, but he's never got any backup, and that's the major concern for me. There's a major disconnect between him and Mayfan, who once again is forced to just flash slingshot away to safety, and the rest of the team is trailing behind, but Mochi, separated from the herd, is going to be shredded on down to gift Raze his 12th.
See what Direwolves want to do here? They like want to walk around and try like pseudo contest Baron. Looks like they're just going to give it. I think if Antic get this Baron, the next push they do is going to be game closing.
I don't really think there's much left in the tank for them to try and protect their base with 7 structures down. You've got a Jinx that is so far ahead of the pace that it really is Direwolves defending their base. I mean, their middle lane inhibitor already been down. Makes it quite easy for them to be stuck inside there, but they're just going to play this one nice and systematically, escort in that top lane that's been primed and ready to go, and say, well, if you force a fight here, we end you inside your base. That is the GG.
See what they want to do here. Draco can pretty much hook any target he wants to, and he goes for the minion. It's a great choice. Run that one back. But I think this is very easy to close out for Antic. They just have to go slow, hit the towers with their range advantage. Direwolves is forced to be in a position where they have to engage like this.
Yeah, that's what they do. It's a bit of desperation for them. In goes Mayfan, unable to find anything he wants, but he starts to get bouncing. In goes Guapi again, but just too early, too disconnected. That's been the big mainstay of this one. And as soon as that one casualty happens, it is just lights out for the Direwolves as Antic just steamroll them. Absolutely snowball into this team fight. And look, they do lose a few in the process. Yes, Raze does die, but they've done the damage. 2 inhibitors are down. It's delayed the game from ending again, but there's no doubt that Antic are in the commanding position.
A bit too high. You know, Draco keeps denying these slingshots here, which is really good, but I think he's going to go down. Cursor doesn't have the mana to be able to help him here.
Might be a slow burn here as he's going to wait for this one. The hook going out, the slingshot trying to protect. He goes for the flash. He really wants to protect himself. Hook into another. A little bit of fruit. There's the slappy hands. And Cursor says, give me a bit of fruit. There's a charm. Turn it around. Passive.
Ooh.
Weaving auto attacks like we're laning again. Does he have the hook? No. Oh, the great chase eventually comes to an end.
Yeah, just a bit of fun there from Antic. You know, like they're diving over Karthus passive, which is we see Raze fall down there. We're diving the Fountain by accident, which takes out Zoras. It's probably the only thing that's going to do damage to him at this point in the game. But I assume like after this reset, the next push it'll be lights out for Direwolves.
I'm sure also in Cursor's like, yo, I have no mana and I have 25 stacks. I kind of don't want to int that. Like, I don't want to lose my stacks. Try live, wait, you're living. Oh, I've got a bit of a charm. No, it's done and dead. I think for me, the weird thing is that like Drakes are just not that valued. I mean, these fights are just the main focus.
Yeah, I do see this happening a lot. It's like they're getting ready to set up for the objective, and then a fight starts, which ends up in them going to another point of the map because they're trying to get as much gold as possible. So we're not really seeing like the fights happen around objectives, but more so before they actually spawn. And that's why we're not seeing a lot of priority, because you're just able to take so much of the map when the enemy team is dead.
Let's see what Antic can do. They've got only a few seconds left remaining off that initial Baron buff. And they're going to have to say, all right, you are well and truly stuck inside your base with all 3 inhibitors down. That mid one about to spawn in 30 seconds. But that might not be required at this point, because yet again, it is a isolated out engaged source as Mayfan falls victim to that surrounding pressure from Antic. They're looking to try and put a bow on it, Tally. They're looking to do it now.
Yeah, I think this is going to be pretty easy picking for them. Like, Incursor is just going to find access for the charm here. Yeah. Easy kills. They are going forward, but it's quite hard to get on Raze here.
It is quite hard to get onto Raze, and Incursor is burning. Eventually he does fall on down. That's a nice one for Mochi, but he's dead, so that's all he's going to be able to contribute on this occasion. Double kill again. It seems to be the key feat here for Raze on the Jinx. Out goes the Midnight Vigil. Is it lethal? He flashes. I think he just flashed at a Caliban range. Oh, that's absolutely clutch, but for a second time in a row, Direwolves have just done enough to prevent their base from falling.
I'm going to stop speaking. I'm going to stop jinxing. Like, you know, it's very hard to end. Who am I kidding?
Jinxing with Jinxing game, dude, it's too easy at this point.
Direwolves are doing a really, really good job to defend. I think that Katsuri's spacing really well. Like, he's always just playing on the max range while outputting as much DPS as possible. like Karthus is a really unsung hero champion because like he dies and he clears the wave and he's just outputting so much damage with the Rec Room and the fire. And as you can see, like Ketsuru is just skirting danger extremely well, and he lands a very clutch ult here. Like very nice flash by Razor to get out of range, so he's unable to follow up with the Caliban.
That's crazy. Very close. Definitely a game of inches. That could have been a bit of a disaster if Razor had fallen down again. A lot of gold to continue to go over him from the shutdown.
He lost the pages.
He did.
Oh, it's tragic.
It's a very sad day, unfortunately. It is a very sad day. Still is incredibly strong. It's been a bit of a mid-gap, to say the least. He's certainly showcased his ability. And you know, the experiment, so to speak, of the global pressure. The Pantheon's strong early, but hasn't really been able to find much more later on.
Yeah, this was just like the time with the point I mentioned in draft where like Karthus isn't really going to help you snowball like as the Pantheon, and you need to snowball. So that's the only sad thing about like Pantheon in this draft, is he's got no buddy to take over the game. He's kind of just like a protector for the Karthus. And like unfortunately they weren't able to reach a point where Karthus was strong enough to like come help in the mid.
Wouldn't be the case. No wings available for Mayfan, so no respawn this time around with that passive. He is the focus, he drops down low, in jumps the Pantheon again, but instantly gets knocked back then as a result of the Xin Zhao ultimate. Moonlight Vigil looking to be teased that he's got the double weapon set up for it. He's just waiting for them to group up and snipe them down all low. Biding his time, dropping down the sentry turrets, waiting for everything inside his base to fall on down, and they might be winning this fight as a result. It's only an exposed Nexus, but out goes the Moonlight Vigil with the Requiem. Is that a triple kill? They rush for the end! They say, we might lose this game, guys, just rush for the end. And I don't know what it is, man, but like Antic, they are winning, but there are some very, very dicey moments.
Yeah, even though it's a new roster, I think there's a lot of the same energy from last split where it came to Antic closing out games. You know, they were very topsy-turvy when it came to like getting leads or coming back from like completely lost games. So it's really fun as a viewer to see, but you know, if they're going back to the drawing board, they got a lot to talk about.
I'm sure it's certainly one of an experience to enjoy it as a viewer, but then to experience it as a player, the complete difference in emotions that are being felt where you're thinking, no way are we losing this game. Why is this so hard? Why is this so difficult? But in the end, on the night, back-to-back 2-0s for our favorites. The finalists from Split 1 come out and showcase why they were just that. We're going to jump to a quick break, and then we'll wrap up all of tonight's action right after this. He tries in with the slappy hands as Mayfan blindly jumps in to figure out where Foreigner may be lurking, but Incursion across the wall, Spirit rushing into their face. Wild Growth knocks them up, Mochi low, the chompers are good, the damage is there, it's 2 found so far, make it free. Mayfan, he's going to pop his defensive, there is the passive, and Raze surely the benefit. This could be the moment Iron look to try and answer back into this game. In comes Jovi, there goes the equalizer, not the best one quite honestly, but a pop blast to knock it up too, and they get burned alive. There's one shutdown.
And I know there's a heart to the head and the devil's below.
watch, it's carnage! They're all charmed at ease, come on! Oh, kaboom! It's do or die!
And it was the last game of the night. We saw it slow down, then it sped back up, then it slowed back down again. But what a huge performance. Antic taking the 2-0 in this series. The predictions were on it. We're 100% correct for that one, guys. But what a stellar performance. Direwolves felt like they had it coming back a little bit too. They were starting to pull off big plays. You can see that here. And then out of nowhere, boom, gone. But 10 minutes till first blood. There's Skimmy. It's fairly slow, especially with it being a bit of Karthus gameplay.
Yeah, look, I mean, games are certainly slowing down. I guess it's always a product of the draft kind of making it happen in that function. But at the same time, I'm all for it because whilst they are slow, once they do start, they've been going at such an accelerated rate. So yes, whilst there's been a bit of a David and Goliath of like the favourites up against the underdogs, it's been an entertaining night. Certainly a great way to open up a brand new patch for a new season.
It's always keeping us on our toes. Now, I do want to say as well, Tally, I think you would agree with me that it sort of almost felt like Direwolves were rushing these fights a little bit. They were just trying to get to these objectives first, but weren't taking the time to properly set up. Would you agree that Antic was just playing it a little bit smarter?
Yeah, I think the Direwolves weren't really addressing their game state, and they were still playing like they were stronger when they weren't. They needed to, like, you know, slow down, scale a bit more, wait until adding power spikes, but they were just starting objectives back to back. And, you know, Antic want that to happen. They want, like, the TP flanks from Cassandre and Ari to happen. They want, like, Nautilus Hawks to come out of Fog of War. Like, they want this goal to go into their carry Jinx, and, like, that's what they were finding.
Yeah, and it was kind of cool, like, because I think that the big side of that I saw, at least myself, but we could actually look at the scores here. Look at the damage just coming off again. Raze is just popping off one more time, but most damage was that Karthus just handing those huge Requiems. Do you think, in an ideal world, that could have made the difference if we were in the game for another 5-10 minutes, Skimmy?
I think there was definitely a world in which this draft for Direwolves could have won. I think it was just, as I mentioned probably countless times, maybe to people's annoyance, was just, yeah, the disconnect between frontline and backline. I think if they could just find like a classic setup, they were winning. Like, how many times have we seen them actually defend their base because they just had that strong front to back? So I think they just got a little bit crazy at times, rushing objectives and that being their downfall, but also just, yeah, jumping in a little bit too early and forcing 3 or 4 or whatever it may be, a numbers disadvantage to try and defend their base. And that's why you saw the panic from Antic to be like, oh crap, we need to actually just like click the Nexus and do this before the Requiem kills us all.
Yeah, they were all about to 100% blow up, but I think a big sort of point I would put onto that would be the Pantheon. It was Guppy in this mid lane. I think it was quite a spicy pick and sort of going in a little bit blind and then Ari being picked up. But I think just being out of position just a little bit too much. Was getting caught out a couple times. Yes, you got that shield, but the Direwolves team just wasn't able to follow it up. Do you think there was maybe a little bit too much rush or hesitation there, Tally?
I think it's more so they needed an AD champion mid, and you know, I think that the bans are really good. They took out majority of his champion pool, and he was kind of forced onto this champ. I assume you wouldn't have much practice on because like not many people are pulling out Pantheon mid right now, and it's just very hard to function as this champ who needs to go in when the rest of your team wants to peel back, sit on top of the like Affilios, you know, play with the Lulu, play with the Karthus, and like they have so much CC, so like when he goes in, there's no way he's getting out.
Yeah, 100%. Now, we do have Raze on the end of the line joining us for a post-game interview. Raze, how are you feeling after that 2-0 win?
Yeah, I'm happy with my first series in such a long time, and you know, the early and mid game was really clean. Just have to work on our late game.
Yeah, mate, it is, like you said, it is. You're just joining us back and you're coming after a nice little bit of time off. How are you feeling in this new split, and are you excited for the future?
Yeah, I think we definitely have a good shot at, you know, making it to PCS players with this roster, and that's just the goal we have right now.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, beauty. Well, I suppose, Rose, welcome back. Always a treat to have you back. We spoke to Draco a little bit before, as almost a point of saying we want to prove that, you know, this bot lane of Reiku can, you know, get it done. Obviously, maybe a bit of a personal achievement for yourself to then get 7 titles and be the uncontested best player. Obviously, you played with Tally on here, who's, you know, helped you get a few of those titles under your belt, right? But what is the goal for you, I suppose? Are you still looking to try and make it either, you know, put OS back on the map, or is it still a case of, I want to go back to, you know, LCS, LEC, whatever it may be, to try and play in that, you know, that higher league?
Honestly, after taking the break, I just want to I'm not really sure what the goal is right now. Like, I think I'm just looking mainly towards the split and like trying to get that 7 title unit. That's probably the most important thing to me. So yeah, I'd say that's like my biggest objective right now.
Not getting too dizzy about what could be. I'm with you. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Mate.
And I want to pick your brain a little bit because like I heard on the grapevine that like your mid laner was going to be like a weak point of your team. It was going to be like something you had to work around. But I think today like Incursio's pretty much proven like all my doubts wrong about like his champion pool and like whether he's going to fit into like the play style of not playing assassins. So like what do you think about Incursio as a player? Like has he, you know, reached your expectations?
I do recall Incursio when he played like LCO ages ago, 2021, that he actually could play, you know, real champs, even if he is like a Katarina 1 trick and solo queue. So yeah, he has impressed me with like actually being able to play these champs like Hui and Ari, and yeah, I think he can definitely like step up to these other like top mids that do play in LCO.
Good to hear.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Raze. That is all we have for the interview. But, mate, you're doing awesome work. We love seeing you down in that bot lane just kicking all kinds of butt. So keep at it. Can't wait to see what else you play after the split. But any last words for the fans?
Yeah, thanks to the fans that still support us and still keep our region running. Thank you.
Nice.
Best, mate. Thank you so much. Big shout out to Raze there as well. Looking to take back another split and start earning that title of, what was it, most titles held in OS? That's a pretty big feat there.
Yeah, be a big achievement. I mean, maybe at this point, maybe we need the Tally arc to resemble that of Phyto. Tally spends a season casting with me and goes, after all this time watching, I need to go back to playing again.
I'm sick of Skimmy.
It's the caster curse all over again. But we do have an MVP that we have to shout out, and it is going to be, by unanimous vote for us, Incursio as well, the brand new mid laner for Antic. Absolutely huge performance. KDA of 16-2. Barely died at all playing that Hui and Ari. Guys, Skimmy, what sort of performance could we expect to see from this guy?
Well, I'm just hoping for me, and much like echoing Telly's point about, proving me wrong. I mean, from what I remember, yeah, it was all the assassin gameplay, and you think you sort of know what you're getting, and you're hoping that it can, break open to something a little bit more. I don't think he got tested too much tonight, but that's not really the main focus, right? It was just a case of, preventing the haters or the doubters thinking that you're, worthy of being on this roster. 16-2 combined scoreline between both games. It's a pretty impressive performance, and I'd imagine this is only the beginnings as they'll look to grow throughout the split.
Yeah, I think that kill participation as well is so big, like 75% kill participation. So they weren't, obviously by that scoreline, weren't the most hungry sort of classic Oceanic kill hungry games, but still like having that level of sort of impact in the game is so big. So Tally, do you think there's any other things that he could probably pull out on us?
Honestly, I'm not sure. Like, because I thought, going back in the past, like when I remember the Incursios, like he would play like the Silas and he would play like Yone in positions where they weren't very good because his champion pool was being pinched. But, he's shown us tonight that like he can play these mages and they're pretty much comfortable in all scenarios. So I'm excited to see like what he's going to pull out in the future.
Yeah, shameful plug. Go follow that Twitch stream, guys. You know he needs the love. But no, what a huge performance as well. Absolutely great to see Antic back in form too. But like I said as well, we're all 100% pick rate so far. So both teams, Ground Zero taking the 2-0, Antic taking the 2-0. Look, we're on the money. I think people should just be hitting us up off stream, just see what we got to say. But don't do that because... no. Oh. But still, what an exciting time. It's only day one. And how many bangers have we already had?
Too many. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I love when a new season happens because you get to see all the roster changes. You get to see all the drama of teams not gelling well together. The patch doesn't favor somebody. The meta doesn't work. The upsets. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, Tyler, we do have the play of the game. How about you break this play down for us while we have it coming up? It is that quadra kill up in the top lane for Katsuri on the Direwolves. Let's break it down.
Yeah, so like I touched on this in the replay earlier, but this was Antic engaging or using way too much engage onto the front line of Direwolves, and Katsuri just has this free reign on the fight. He's got access to the blue gun. He's flashing forward. He's doing the most insane amount of damage, and there's no threat onto him. Like once he knows that there's no CC that's going to come on top of him, he can just go forward, be enabled by Emilio, and just snowball the rest of this game.
Such a big fight, and I think it was one of those pivotal moments where we sort of thought, does Direwolves actually come back in this game? Beautiful flick there as well, just handing it over. Going legendary is just so big, but at the same time, It wasn't the outcome we were hoping for the Direwolves. Antic was able to turn it around even after some shoddy fights. But anything you think Direwolves maybe could have done after this to maybe produce a little bit more of a win there, Skimmy?
Maybe Katsuri could have another flash, because I love it when an AD carry flashes in point blank and says, I will win. That's when you're that much of a Chad that you're like, I don't even need this flash to dodge anything. I will win the fight right here and then. That's exactly what he did. Thank you so much to our observers for zooming in to showcase just that. Yeah, look, I mean, he's gone from just absolute hero performance in that game. Wasn't enough to try and clutch it out in game number 2, but certainly keeps everybody honest and humble that, you know, they're not going to be a free win.
Nah, it was so cool to see, and I love seeing that hectic gameplay, right? Like, it's just getting real nitty and gritty with those fights, really going forward. Like, if you're not, like, it's like the Ezreal, like, E, right? If you're not E-ing forward and dashing forward, you're not playing Ezreal, right? So I want to see flashes going forward, big damage coming out. It's just the way it's got to be. But that does take us towards the end of the day, which was a fantastic first day, if I'm not going to lie. But we have another day tomorrow. Skimmy, who's going to be playing? Well, actually, sorry, no, we've got a standings. I apologize. Apologies,
We
everyone.
got the
Look at
standings.
that.
And as
Look
you
at
can
this.
tell, there's not really much on there, but 2 results. 3 points, and then 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And as we are all Twitch mathematicians, we can very easily tell that they're in first place. And then, yeah.
It's only day 1 though, Skimmy. Only day 1, so points are looking fairly just stock standard right now. Almost to our predictions, but at the same time too, we're going to have to see what tomorrow is going to hold and where we're going to go through from there. But I'm very excited to see what's going to be happening throughout this whole split, as you do have all of us for the whole split, which is fantastic news for all of us. But Tally, any dreams or hopes or any thoughts about what we could expect maybe tomorrow?
I'm really excited to see Ion play. I think that they had a really good showing in Split 1, and I think that they have either improved upon their roster or like side graded. So very happy to see if, you know, the Dark Horse, as we called them, is able to, you know, take more games from top teams.
Yeah, I'm pretty keen to that. I do know Latte over, the owner at Ion, and he's got some pretty hectic things up his sleeves. He's been hitting me up with a couple DMs, so we'll have to see how that's going to hold out. But Skimmy, any team you'd like to look at tomorrow as well?
The Chiefs. I'm really excited to see the Chiefs play tomorrow. Hopefully challenge for their fourth title in a row. Nah, seriously, I'm keen to see Bliss. I really want to see how much stronger they've become with the addition of Kevy and Aladoric. Obviously, it becomes a bit of a meme, right, when you're like, I've retired, because no one really retires in OS. But like, for them to come back, and it's a case of like, oh, I might as well win another split. So yeah, that's what I'm keen to see.
Oh, I'm the exact same. I was going to mention Bliss too. I think that's the team that's all sort of on our lips, is the sort of star-studded team. They've got some big names, a lot of things weighing on their shoulders too. Aladoric, like you said, coming back to say, no, I'm still the best. So I want to see that competition. I want to see that drive and hunger coming out of this team, because I feel like that's the one thing that a lot of teams haven't really had as much in the past couple splits, is that hunger, is that need to succeed and win. And I think the last time I did properly see it probably was last split Ground Zero, but also, Tally, when you were on the Chiefs, it was that hunger and drive that took you there. So I'm really keen to see if we can get some teams back in it. I think we've got a couple contenders, but like I said, it's only day 1. We'll have to see how that's going to look out. But I believe that is the end of the show there, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all so much for watching. My name has been Papa Pike. That's been Skimmy. Hopefully, nope, arrow's the wrong way. And that's Tally on the back. From all of us here at the LCO, we'd like to thank you for a fantastic LCO Split 2 Day 1. But we'll see you on the next adventure. Good night.
Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye, bye-bye. The as is the Ari, and voice fresh off a reset comes in. Chompers go down, charm kill, reset. We're getting excited. The Jinx is getting excited, and the Jinx is running away. Flash to light skill shot. Limes with no money. He's waiting for that gun to reload. Out it comes, and voice, you were grey a second ago. You're about to be grey again. And for you, Gun Crab, if it's not for my gun reloading, you're dead too.
Always for that.
It's comedy. It's comedy. The voice has got him far too early. As Gun Crab said, maybe I can have a crack at it, but 2 axes and he's basically dead. Sidestepping on the pebble. Limus is holding the deer alive as he catches the axe. And look at those blinking hellfires, Tally. Great if he sees them all, says that's a triple kill waiting to happen. But the only triple happening here is for Fito. A TP from Mammoth to try and back him up. The spear is there. The pounce comes from through. The Magnus wants to try and act as a bit of zoning control. But Fito subs himself in. He gets the damage done. He gets knocked back by like a sergeant who goes all out right underneath the tower and eventually gets that shutdown. There is all the damage coming coming together as Predator was able to answer back in a phenomenal fashion, but it all goes down to the core kicks. And we've also seen just how strong Zonis is because he just run at you with the gold card, with the ghost coming at you at Mach 10 speed and says, Cat Fury, you are the focus, you'll be falling down. And there's a bit of Master Curse also there, Tally, because you say one thing, the other thing happens. Triple kill now for Zoranez. Mayfun is the focus, goes all that after buffering all that CEC, they turn around on Striker instead. Now who's unfortunately going to fall on down? There is the blue gun, there is the Moonlight Vigil, there is the damage, they get a double kill, looking for the triple. Going golden and Zoranez as he comes out of that one, there is the triple, Rob. Get it done for the team, put them on your back and carry.
It's quite hard to get on Razor.
Quite hard to get on the raise, and Kersio returning, eventually does fall on down. That's a nice one for Mochi, but he's dead, so that's all he's going to be able to contribute on this occasion. Double kill again seems to be the key feat here for Raze on the Jinx. Out goes the Moonlight Vigil, is it lethal? It flashes! I think it just flashed the Caliban range. Oh, that's absolutely clutch, but for a